Hi everyone, Bernard here. I hope you're all well, and we have a movie review to look at today, and it's a film that's, again, I was quite interested in. As I say, we have the Marvel universe, we have the DC universe, don't we? This is the latest from the Marvel universe as I'm reviewing this, and it's called The New Mutants. Please, if you're new to the channel, push that subscribe button, push the bell notification on these little vlogs coming out. I do movie reviews, also do TV drama reviews and information vlogs as well for your information and a little bit of entertainment here and there, you know, a little bit of my slant on things. Yeah, the New Mutants, a 15 rating, quite high for, I think, for what it is, but I know, I don't know if it is outside of the UK, but here in the UK I think the BBFC have been very strict these days with the ratings. I think they're very high, they're a lot higher than they need to be honest with you. An hour and 34 minutes. It cost $100 million, this little film to make. Production costs, obviously with marketing costs, etc., that will rise. It's a lot of money, perhaps just on reflection, looking at what we got. A lot of money for what we got, to be honest with you. It just seems a bigger budget than it actually felt like watching it. But more on that in a moment. It's a science fiction horror film in the superhero genre, based on the Marvel Comics team of the same name and distributed by 20th Century Studios. It is the 13th and final instalment of the X-Men film series. The film was directed by Josh Boone from a screenplay he wrote with Nate Lee and stars Macy Williams, Anna Taylor-Joy, Charlie Heaton, Alice Braga, Blue Hunt and Henry Zaga, or Zaga, whichever way you pronounce that. In the film, a group of young mutants held in a secret facility fight to save themselves. Yeah, save the mind, save everything, I think. Filming took place of this one in Boston, Massachusetts from July to September 2017 and primarily at Medfield State Hospital, with an April 2018 release in mind. I'm reviewing lots and lots of films at the moment that were planned for 2018 releases, and this is well before COVID. They just for one reason or other been put back. I mean, there's obvious reasons with this one. It was 20th century, wasn't it? The film has had 5 release date shifts, 5. Originally slated to come out April the 13th, 2018. First delayed to February the 19th, 2019. In order to conduct reshoots, not a good sign. Later it was pushed back again to August the 2nd, 2019, while Disney's purchase, of course, of Fox was finalised. It was pushed back yet again on April the 3rd, 2020 to make room for the release of X-Men Dark Phoenix. And on March the 12th, 2020, it was postponed, yes, because of the COVID-19 pandemic. On May the 13th, 2020, its new release date was August the 28th. So we've seen it. So it has come out in various guises now. It was originally planned as the first in the trilogy of films, but this is back in the 20th Fox days, isn't it? Disney's purchase put end to that. It reverted the film rights to Marvel Studios, making the possibility of future films very, very unlikely. Is it any good? Rotten Tomatoes, 32%, 32 based. That's based on 37 reviews as I'm doing this. That's only 12 fresh and 25 rotten. So a lot of rotten reviews with this one. And it only holds an average rating of 4.8 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads, rendering a list of potentially explosive ingredients mostly inert, The New Mutants is a franchise spin-off that's less than the sum of its super-powered parts. The Rotten Tomatoes audience liked it a little bit better. It fared a little bit better. Over 800 ratings left, and it got 53% on that. Still not fantastic. The Metacritic, the Metascores, the critics rating, only 46%. There's only one critic rated it positively. There were 7 mixed reviews and 1 negative review based on 9 reviews. And it scored anywhere between 3.8 to 6.5 out of 10. Slash Films Jason Gorber, he liked it more than most, 6.5 out of 10. He went on to say, the scares are more textural than truly creepy, and they're certainly overshadowed by what's primarily a character piece, with each person's fears and anxieties literally manifesting as part of the storyline. Yeah, I've seen a couple of episodes of Doctor Who with very similar sort of themes with different characters, but the same sort of idea, and they weren't great. I remember watching that. The New York Times' Amy Nicholson only gave it 4 out of 10 and went on to say, the New Mutants spent 3 years on ice before being allowed to escape into the slowest summer season in a century. That's fitting for a film that's all build-up and no bang. Internet Movie Database, Joe Public. The public usually a bit fair on these, usually a good guide. 5.8 out of 10, so again just below the watchable rating of 6, 5.8 out of 10, so not a total disaster. That's based on almost 2,300 reviews as I'm recording this vlog. Some comments made, not worth the wait, a decent movie, so as you can expect with that sort of scoreline, you're going to get a mixed bag, aren't you? Complete and utter trash, lackluster and not worth it. Cinematography is great, but plot, storyline and acting is just awful, for lack of better words. It does start out a little slow, but once the horror and trauma aspects of the characters start, the movie is easier to get into. It's not a masterpiece like some of the X-Men films, but still an entertaining film combining elements of horror and superhero themes. So a lot of sort of mixed messages, aren't they, from different people. Another one went on to say disappointing script and story. Another one, I think people should try this movie out and watch it. It's not bad, it's not as bad as everyone is saying. Better than the last two X-Men films. Well, I'm struggling to think which the two X-Men films were, but there have been some sort of average ones, hasn't there? Another reviewer went on to say it's fine. It's not the worst X-Men movie, which doesn't say a lot, by a long shot. With another draft of the script, move a couple of scenes and some changes to the dialogue, we could have had something special. As it is, it's just okay. And finally, coming of age superhero concept mixed with a little horror does end in a little bit of a letdown. MGM thoughts, my little thoughts. As I say, I'm a big DC fan. I have nothing against Marvel at all. I enjoy the Marvel films. Some I've found good. Some I've found, certainly in the X-Men universe, as stated in some reviews there, quite a mixed bag of stuff. And there is an odd feel to this film. It really is. It's a sort of low budget feel, which is strange because of the money spent on it, but I think that's mainly because it's like a one big warehouse set most of the film is in. So that's like a lot of low budget films, creepy films, this sort of film have that sort of feel to it in one location, and that's what this has got, with that sort of the one big warehouse set vibe. But obviously with a mainly young cast, there's certainly an accomplished young cast. I mean, there was only sort of certainly just perhaps one weakness in this. I won't personalise it, but perhaps one weakness in the whole lot. But they do a pretty good job, the young cast. And it's like the start. I think some of the reviewers, I'm not sure if I mentioned it there. It's sort of like the start of something, because it was the start of a trilogy, wasn't it? And this is the feel you've got of this, and to know that there isn't going to be a continuation is a very weird, and it sort of starts something and not the apparent end. So it is a little bit strange in that way when you watch it. It's painfully slow. I mean, I found it very hard. It was so slow to get going. I mean, I do like a lot of verbal in films. I'm not a big action fan. I do like constructive verbal diarrhea in films, if you like. So yeah, I mean, I think at least 50 minutes. I sort of just checked the time when it sort of got going a little bit. Got a little bit of the pulse racing of, certainly, well, of the actors, probably not most of the audience. But for something that's only 90 minutes, which is, let's not forget, this hasn't been stretched out to 2 hours. This is basically a 90-minute film. And yeah, to go 50 minutes in with very little happening, yeah, it does border on a little bit boring. And it does have the right mix of elements, but the trouble is they're all sort of into the second half of the film. Perhaps if they spread a little bit out and a bit more of the backstory and a bit more action all throughout the film, rather than just, as I say, a slowish start, it would have been, overall there's lots of stuff in it, but not quite in the right order, if you can understand where I'm coming from with that. They could have spread it out a little bit more. The pilot feel is throughout, but you never quite get enough of the backstory either. As a pilot, you'd expect plenty of backstory, wouldn't you? So I'm not really invested in the characters as such. I wanted to stick up for them, and they'd never really given me the ammunition to allow me to stick up for them. I didn't really get to know too much about them, which I would have liked to have done. And again, that's limited to the 90-minute film, even though, as I said, it was a little bit boring. It certainly could have filled more of the first 50 minutes with more information. There's some well-shot scenes, some that not quite up to scratch, which you say is disappointing considering a $100 million budget. But then again, you don't seem to get much for $100 million these days. But then again, it's perhaps, I say, there was reshoots, etc. There's sort of things happening, and you sort of tend to forgive it a little bit because of all the hoops the movies probably had to jump through to make it finally to an audience, so for an audience to watch. But hey, it's not the audience's fault. It's not our fault, is it? At the end of the day, it's how these things panned out. I'm not really sure overall that anyone connected with this movie would be totally happy with the end result. I think the cast should be happy with what they've done. As I said, I think most of the cast did a really good job on it, as a young cast, obviously, as you know. But the script just doesn't have the oomph for a standalone, which is what it is, for a standalone superhero genre movie. I mean, as a TV, I've just recently watched Stargirl. I've just recently watched Bad Boys, which was The Boys, which I hadn't watched before. And as for a first or second episode of a series, this is probably okay, but say just as a standalone superhero film at 90 minutes, it's not enough. In fact, 90 minutes, even though it's not long, felt a bit long because I was a little bit bored for most of it. So it did feel too long, even though it was only 90 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at it's got a darker, more modern graphic novel feel to it, which it has. It's more modern-y. It may have been better back in 2018, but obviously it feels a bit tired now in 2020. I think we've been through a lot, haven't we, worldwide? And I think for 2020, perhaps we needed that more comic book feel of some of the early X-Men films that we don't get in this. We get the darkness, which is fine. I like a good dark superhero film, but I think it doesn't quite work. And I think because it was done in 2018, I think it's perhaps missed the boat a little bit, because we have seen other things come out since that perhaps have superseded this, and this was slow out of the block, so it's been left behind a little bit. And really, it's a moody effort that perhaps we could have done with something a little bit lighter, and it's not quite worked. So overall, as I say, it wasn't a total waste of 90 minutes, but as I say, it was probably saved by some of the acting in it. But I can understand the general reviews there of very poor reviews overall. It's not really getting any watchable rating on any of the sites, Rotten Tomatoes, Metascore site, or the IMDb. It's never quite reaching, where people do like it. And I'm going to give it that sort of rating where I wouldn't put you off if you're a Marvel fan and you're a New Mutants fan. I think if you like the comics, you may be a little bit disappointed with how it is, but you're seeing your characters, which is always nice. It's nice to see comic book characters come to life, which is what it's doing. So you may enjoy it for that aspect. But I'm only going to give it an MGN rating. I'm only giving it an MGN rating of 5.5 out of 10, which isn't going to put you off, but a little bit disappointed. I was a little bit disappointed without being too knowledgeable about New Mutants. As I say, obviously some of the reviews I was looking through, there wasn't many people were commenting whether it was true to the comic book or not, so I couldn't really get a feel for that. But I'm going to give it 5.5 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you think about that anyway. And yeah, if you look at the posters, quite a few posters knocking about. I've put a few on one of the, as I've been doing this, you've probably seen a few of the posters, but generally they're quite bland and they're not very exciting. Any of the posters for this type of film, I would have expected a little bit more. So the films perhaps should have given us a little bit more, and the posters perhaps should give us a little bit more. So they're disappointing as well. So I think the film's slightly better than the poster. I'm only going to give that particular poster I've got up there anyway, showing you there, and most of the others I would only give them a basic 5 out of 10. They're not something exciting I'd like on my den wall or my office wall, etc. But if you're fans of New Mutants, you might like it, and you might like the sort of plainness of it, the simpleness of them. So I'm going to give the poster 5 out of 10. Anyway, thanks for watching this. Let me know in the comments what you think. And please, if you can get a little chance to check out my little website, moviegamenostalgia.com, the links are on the screen. Absolutely fantastic. Old rare DVDs, movie posters from the 90s and 2000s, some board games on there, and even if you just have a look around, it's good for my search engine analytics and all this sort of thing. And if you check the, follow the links, etc. for that, that'll be absolutely fantastic. Right, hopefully you'll join me again for another movie review or an information vlog, or perhaps a TV drama review in the very near future. I can only ask you all to please stay safe, everyone. And whatever you're going to do with the rest of the day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your family, and more importantly, let's all look after each other. And hopefully I'll see you all again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.